So let's take a think about this. Okay, so just botany 101, plants are living organisms and they like to stay living organisms. If you eat them, they die. And so they have defenses just like any other living organism. And while animals can run away or fight back, plants can't. And so they use a lot of different things, but poison is one of their main deterrents. They use these defense chemicals to poison the animals that are trying to eat them. And they have hundreds of different ones geared towards different animals, insects, and pathogens that are trying to eat them. This is why most plants in the world are inedible. We sort of know this intuitively. If you got lost in the woods here and you ran out of food, you wouldn't be able to eat any random plant. Most of them would make you very sick. I don't think anyone is going to be able to spot the vegetables in this picture, right? So you have to know exactly what to eat, and the reason is because there are these defense chemicals. So here are just a few sort of categories of the ways that plants defend themselves. They use lectins. Is something that people are gaining more interest in, but there's tons of different kinds of lectins. There's 2,500 different plants use cyanide that we know of. There's different various toxins, phytates, tannins, oxalates, hormone disruptors, nutrient blockers, things that make you very sensitive to light. And nightshades we've known about for thousands of years, and yet for some reason we're still eating these things. Nightshades, literally we've known about these things being harmful for thousands of years, and yet just like belladonna, deadly nightshade, and tobacco, they use a toxin called solanine, among other things. But we regularly eat potatoes, tomatoes, eggplants, peppers, capsicums. All these things are nightshades, and they all produce solanine. What we forgot when we adopted the use of these things from the New World, from North and South America, was that the people eating them in those areas, A, were poor, didn't really have access to meat, and so they sort of had to for survival, and B, they process these things in a very specific way. The tomatoes, when they're green, they have a lot more solanine, so you had to wait for them to vine ripen, then they would blanch them, take the skin off, take the seeds out. That's where the highest concentration of these poisons were. Potatoes, we used to peel them. Now, that's where all the nutrients and vitamins are, is in the skin. Like, right, that's where all the poison is too. It's a barrier protection against something going in and eating it. I think most people would have grown up with one of their parents telling them that when you have to keep potatoes in a dark cupboard, and if it would turn green, you have to throw it out. It's bad. It's bad. What does that mean? It means it's toxic. It has a toxic level of solanine in it. Or it sprouts roots, and that's bad too. You have to cut out the entire eye or throw away the whole potato because it's bad. Apparently, some people's mothers didn't tell them this, and so if you look it up, 70 people a year still die from eating potatoes. Potatoes, right?
Glycoalkaloids are another defense chemical plants produce to protect themselves. They are a natural pesticide plants use to prevent predators from eating them, including humans. The spicy, bitter taste you get from eating foods like peppers and tomatoes is the result of glycoalkaloids. The spicy and bitter sensation is meant to tell organisms that it does not want to be eaten, and if you keep eating them, your mouth is going to burn and you'll have gastrointestinal repercussions. Anything spicy is not meant to be eaten. Glycoalkaloids are abundant in these foods, and many of them also have oxalates, lectins, phytates, salicylates, tannins, saponins, and glucosinolates, giving you even more reason to not want to eat these foods. The nightshade family of fruits and vegetables is infamous for being very high in these glycoalkaloids. One of them is called solanine. During the Scottish famine of 1782, many Scottish Highlanders complained of dropsy, which is an old term used to describe edema and swelling, often associated with congestive heart failure, after eating a diet heavy in potatoes. Russian prisoners of World War II also returned home with advanced cases of dropsy, which was also blamed on heavy potato consumption. Solanine functions as a natural pesticide. It can induce a certain toxicity in humans called potato paralysis. Potato glycoalkaloids can inhibit the breakdown of acetylcholine in our bodies, acting as a natural neurotoxin, affecting our bodies similarly to sarin nerve gas, which was a potent chemical weapon created by the Germans during World War II. Ultimately, this overstimulates the nervous system. It can cause paralysis, convulsions, vomiting, diarrhea, headaches, even respiratory arrest and death in high enough doses. Glycoalkaloids, regardless of the source, can bioaccumulate in the body over time, just like oxalates. This is because they take days to break down and can take longer depending on other factors, and repeated consumption can keep the process going, resulting in chronic, low-grade toxicity. Even at low doses, humans can experience gastrointestinal symptoms, including things like nausea, vomiting, and diarrhea, and even neurological symptoms like weakness and depression. Just like oxalates, lectins, saponins, and glucosinolates, glycoalkaloids can also contribute to leaky gut syndrome by damaging the gut wall. The toxic effects of these plant toxins is also exacerbated to a higher degree if you already have a leaky gut, and they can also worsen or trigger irritable bowel disease. Glycoalkaloids have been shown to be able to disrupt digestive enzymes, alter carbohydrate and fat metabolism, bind with nucleic acids and interfere with protein synthesis and DNA repair, and can bind to cholesterol in our cell membranes and cause them to rupture and burst on impact. And just when you think it couldn't get worse, solanine is not the only glycoalkaloid present in nightshades. There's another one called chocanine and is considered to be even more toxic than solanine. And both of them together in the same foods can have synergistic effects, leading to greater toxicity. It's important to note that most commercial produce is harvested before it is ripe and ready to be eaten, resulting in higher levels of every single one of these plant toxins. It's also very easy to overdose on them, especially in modern Western culture. In the United States, over 70 million people have some sort of digestive issue, and over 60 million have some degree of GERD or acid reflux, and the number is likely greater. Arthritis also affects over 58 million people. That means, right off the bat, that a huge majority of the population should not be eating these toxic nightshades, as they are infamously known to be the number one trigger for these conditions. On top of this fact, many people still experience negative effects like gas and bloating after eating them, which in my book is another reason you shouldn't eat something that makes you stinky and bloated. Nightshades are also known to exacerbate many other autoimmune conditions. Like most plant foods that exist today, many are actually very new to the human diet. The tomato, for instance, was first introduced to North America in the 18th century, and even then, it wasn't eaten because they thought it was poisonous. It wasn't until 1812 that we actually started eating them here in America. And ever since then, the health of the country has dramatically decreased over time.